For years now, the right has been claiming that there's this massive wave of people out there who underwent gender reassignment surgery, then had massive regrets. They're saying that this is a reason to be opposed to these, that many people are getting these, thinking they want it, and then regretting it. Here's a few examples of them making this case. This is just headlines and just on Fox News. Detransitioning becomes growing choice among young people after these surgeries. Detransitioned boy castrated by doctors warns kids about perils of gender ideology. Tomboy who regretted gender transition breaks down crying, describing difficulty of breast removal surgery. So what they have done there is they have found a couple of individuals, what we would classify as literally anecdotal evidence. And in particular, generally people who have made it their career to talk about how they regretted their transition. But they're not content to describe some people as having these regrets. They use it as an argument to literally ban these procedures.
Hey, I'm glad you're here. Listen, in order for the Damage Report to keep on going, we need viewers like you to become a member on YouTube. Can you click the join button on YouTube today? Thank you.
Now here's the issue. When you actually look at large numbers of people, you find that not only is there no epidemic of people who regret their transition, but it is almost uniquely not regretted in comparison to similar sorts of surgeries. We're gonna show you not the results of a study, but the meta-analysis of 55 different studies looking into this. And they found that less than 1% of people regret having gender-affirming surgeries. That compares to up to 45% who regret breast reconstruction, 30% who regret having surgery to remove their prostate, almost 20% who regret weight loss surgery, and 7% who regret having children. If you look at this chart, a variety of different surgeries, the ones that have to do with gender reassignment are in red. They barely even register on the chart. Honestly, I find it shocking how little regret there is. If for no other reason that this is a contentious social issue that a lot of people try to score political points on, and it is after all a surgery that could potentially go poorly even if it is in line with what you wanted to do. But regardless of all of that context, almost no one regrets it. Far, far fewer percentages than regret other sorts of surgeries of this type. And regardless, this is out there. This should inform the debate. I think that it's unlikely to do so. For the same reason that I doubted a week or two ago, if we could jump to graphic 6, when a new study came out showing that transgender athletes could actually be at a physical disadvantage, not an advantage, that we thought that there was very little chance that that would actually inform this debate. The idea that these things should be banned because it's unfair for athletics and because people regret having it are two of the main excuses given by the right for doing what they do and advocating for what they advocate for. And every day more and more science comes out showing that there is actually nothing to that. And yet the right keeps advocating for it, making you wonder what their real reason is. It doesn't seem to have much to do with the science. But Francesca, what do you make of this?
Right, and then they'll point to like, well, there was a Dutch study in I don't know, Rogan's guys like, look it up, like that. This is empirical, right? And we need to be covering these stories because honestly, there's very little pushback to a lot of the lies that the right is allowed to spew. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it shows you this is about real freedom. This is about the freedom to live the life you want to live, how you want to live it. Isn't the right really into that? I thought they were the party of freedom and liberty. There's nothing like the personal liberty of living the gender that you would like to live as, right? And so again, but it doesn't matter to them because they see it somehow as unnatural. They want to demonize those folks. And again, it is the beginning of a big snowball that is coming also for, as we know, LGBTQ people more broadly, people of color, and maybe let's say, hey, interracial marriage, nothing natural about that according to them, and on and on and on and on, to say nothing of the fact what is natural is forcing people to give birth. But it really is, this is the kind of stuff that can change families. This is the kind of stuff that when you have someone who's trans in your family, you've been fed a bunch of lies by the right, you see how much happier they are when they go on hormone therapy, when they can live and be the person that they want to be. That then you see the studies, and this truly helps. This can literally save people's lives if they knew that they're likely not going to regret this. Their family members not going to regret this. They have science and they have a broad community backing them.
And that would be very persuasive if the people advocating for banning these procedures really cared about what happened to trans people. And I want to end with this very briefly, I apologize. I sort of said, I'm like actually shocked that the percentage who regret it is as low as it is, but I'm not 100% shocked, because while I am obviously no expert on this, the reason, one potential explanation for why it's so low is that no 14-year-old is just like, you know what, I'm gonna have a surgery. And then their parents take them to the doctor and it's done. That's the fake version of this that the right wing would have you believe. It is instead, in the cases where it happens, the result of literally years in many cases of conversations and consultations and hormonal therapies and all those things. It is perhaps one of the most well thought out decisions that a young person can make. Whereas in some of these others, it might well be a thing that you decided and the next day you go to the doctor. So again, if you're one of the people who's made this your entire career, if you're Matt Walsh or whatever, you could know about this if you cared at all about the thing you pretend to by actually talking to a trans person or talking to a doctor who has these consultations. But if you don't actually care and you don't care about these people, then just continue to persist with your nonsensical arguments. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?